Welcome back. Yes, tonight it's a Besser jersey because it was quite the night of hockey tonight, wasn't it? It's one of those rare nights too where Boston, Dallas, and Vancouver all had some good fortune. Only one of them's in a playoff spot. We'll see if it ends up being two. And I know it's not going to be three, but there's always that chance, right? All right. That being said, while the door is still open, you might as well say, yeah, no, the chance is there. So, Boston. Tonight was about a team that's playing out the string, looking like a team that's playing out the string, and kind of sort of being denied by a goaltender that had one of the best games he's had all season. So, Miller had a break on a turnover. Rask made the save there, and that was how the night was going to go for Buffalo. They might get opportunities. Rask wasn't giving them anything. The Bruins pressed at 4 minutes, and then they had lots of pressure as well that would lead up to their opening goal. Marchand from Pastrnak and Riley. Mike Riley with another assist at 8:06. So, again, it's 1-0 now. Boston the better team, but Rask denied Mittelstadt shortly after that. And at the halfway mark of the period, the shots are 6-2 in favor of the Bruins, but both of the shots Buffalo had were dangerous ones. First Miller and then Mittelstadt. Coyle then missed a prime chance. He has been snake bit for a long while. I think he's gone 24 games without a goal now with this one. Sabres get a power play. That was a no, of course. Rask then robbed Cousins of a goal. The shots were evening up as the Sabres got chances in the second half of that period. But after one period, it was 1-0 in favor of Boston. Second period. Relatively early, it's Clifton making up for his play in the last game. He gets a goal in this one from Corrali and Lazar at 3:03. And you really got the feeling the Bruins weren't letting this one get away from them. They were up 5-1 in shots 9 minutes in. The Sabres would get a power play. It wouldn't last. We'd end up with 35 seconds of 4-on-4. Rask playing well and not giving up rebounds. The key thing was there were no second chances tonight for Buffalo. Bergeron had a chance. Tokarski saves. Tokarski had a really good game as well. Sabres pressed with 5 minutes left. In the last minute, there were chances for the Bruins, but it's 2-0 after 2. Third period, in a period where we would see 31 shots, both goalies shine in this one. First minute, there's a press for the Bruins. They would get a power play shortly thereafter. It didn't score. Tokarski was the one keeping things close. Sabres then get a power play. We end up with 1 minute and 33 seconds of 4-on-4. Hall's shot was saved by Tokarski. The Sabres had a 2-on-1. That was defended. With 7:19 left, the Sabres get a power play. Ruotsalainen nearly fooled Rask with a shot that Rask did manage to keep out. With 3:01 left, we get another Sabres power play. They would call a timeout before the power play started because they're down by 2. And then with 1:33 left, then we end up with 1 minute and 33 seconds, I should say, of 5-on-3. So, Lauzon, it was a roughing call. It's a legit penalty, whether you want to call it roughing or something else, fine, but it's a legit penalty. So, it's a 5-on-3, and of course, it becomes a 6-on-3. Buffalo, 6 players on the ice to 3 Bruins. Olofsson fired wide, and then he fired wide again. So, Olofsson just snake bit on tonight's board, and so were the Sabres. They couldn't score 6-on-3. 53.2 seconds left. There were then 7 Sabres on the ice. So, yeah, they tried just throw as many guys, and they were all skating too. It's not like there was, a change and one was really close to the bench. They're being chintzy. No, there were 7 guys on the ice, and the referee even said when he called it, there were 7 guys on the ice. So, yeah, you can't you can put one player out there, but just because you're Buffalo, it doesn't mean you get 2. So Boston wins this one 2-0. They go to 26-12-6. For Buffalo, they drop to 12-27-7. Their record's not important as they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. 3 stars: Rask, Marchand, and Pastrnak. Shots in this one, 9 apiece in the first in favor, or 9 apiece in the first. Second period, 18-6 Boston. Third period, 17-14 for Buffalo. Final shots, 41-32 for Boston. I would have probably thrown Tokarski as one of the stars, but that's me. Power plays, Boston 0 for 4, Buffalo 0 for 6. Hits, 15-9 in favor of Boston. blocked shots 15-11 in favor of Buffalo. It wasn't an overly physical game. Rask saves all 32 shots for his 51st career shutout. I believe that's the first he's had this season. Tokarski saves 39 out of 41 at the other end of the ice, and he played well. Next up, Pittsburgh. What was this? So Pittsburgh, it's a laugher, and then it's not. And at some point, the laughter was from everybody who's not a Penguins fan in this one. So the shots were 4-0 for the Pens 2.5 minutes into this. New Jersey came out asleep. Not the first time they've done it. Not the first time they've had a comeback. This one's ridiculous, but it's not the first comeback they've had. Matheson scores from Ceci and McCann at 3:49. And it was Ryan Murray that interfered with his goaltender on that one. And when you look back, you're like, that one doesn't happen. Would we have had a tie game and gone to overtime? So the Devils get a power play. It was 1 for 10 against the Pittsburgh Penguins coming into tonight. It would end up being 2 for 14 on the season thus far against Pittsburgh coming out of tonight. So they don't score on that one, and then it's Rust scoring from Crosby and Gensel at 8:04. And it's your typical Brian Rust fast break goal around the goalie. Makes him look bad. Great goal for Brian Rust. And then 45 seconds later, Dumoulin from Jari, and that was a bad goal. It takes a bounce. You could say, well, it didn't bounce the way the goalie thought it would. He tries to catch it with his glove, and it goes over his glove. And it's not like it was in close either. You just have to get in front of the puck, and he doesn't. So again, that's 2 goals out of the first 3 that you look at that and you go, I think it's just a little different. They probably don't go in, but this wasn't New Jersey's night, especially in the first. Carter then scored from McCann and Letang at 17:56. Believe that's Jeff Carter's first goal as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's 4-0 Pittsburgh after 1. Second period. Bluger scores from Rodriguez and Aston Reese at 1:12. So welcome to the game, Aaron Dell. Dell goes in the net, and it's a goal on, I think that was his first shot of the second period. The Pens press at 5 minutes. Dumoulin shot one that Dell did make the save, so Dumoulin wanted another goal. Power play for the Devils, that was a no. The Penguins get a power play, and they score on it. It's Rodriguez from Zucker and Marino at 15:18. Evan Rodriguez having a very solid run right now with Pittsburgh. There's a late Devils power play, which would lead over into the third, but it's 6-0. So it's just a power play. That's fine. Well, the power play marker is Heischer from Merkley and Butcher at 41 seconds. The Penguins get a power play. All right, so this is where they can end it. Not quite. Sharangovich scores a shorthanded goal at 5:14. So now it's 6-2. At 8:48, Bastian scores from Butcher. Now it's 6-3. This is where it's not funny anymore, right? And as a Canuck fan looking at this, it's like, I remember the Canucks having a big lead on Pittsburgh and how that turned out. Now it's kind of like a reverse of that, right? Well, after the Bastian goal, Crosby would answer from Gensel and Rust at 11:18, and that was an absolutely great goal by Crosby from a really tough angle, and he gets it. And that turned out to be a far more important goal than it looked like at the time to make it 7-3. Because don't look now, Hughes scores from Sharangovich and Kuokkanen at 12:52. And then with his first NHL goal, Nolan Foote scores from Merkley and Severson at 13:56. And then with the goalie pulled, Janssen scores from Wood and Butcher at 19 minutes and 20 seconds. So it was a 6-0 lead. Pittsburgh wins, but they win 7-6. There's a lot for them to discuss after this game. They allowed 6 goals in the third period. Final score is 7-6. As I said, Pittsburgh goes to 29-14-3. New Jersey drops to 14-25-6. But again, they got to feel good about the comeback, just not needing that comeback. That's the part they got to stop getting behind and start doing the whole playing like they do in the third. This is 2 out of 3 games now where they've had a really good third period, and it's been wiped out because the first 40 minutes were rough for them. Your 3 stars in this one: Crosby, Rodriguez, and Sharangovich. Shots, 13-5 in the first in favor of Pittsburgh, 14-8 New Jersey in the second, 11 shots each in the third. So 6 out of 11 shots by New Jersey hit the net in that third period. And not all of them were great on Jari either. I didn't even get into that. They weren't all great shots. So your final shots in this one were 30-32. You have 62 shots on net, 13 of them go in. Power plays, New Jersey 1 for 4, Pittsburgh 1 for 2. Hits, 23-21 for Pittsburgh. Sharangovich, of course, being the 1 star for New Jersey in this. I don't know. Merkley had a couple helpers too. Anyways, block shots, 18-9 for Pittsburgh. Wedgwood saved 8 out of 9 or 9 out of 13, and then Dell saved 16 out of 19. Jari saves 24 out of 30. None of those goalies are going to put this on their resume at the end of this season. None of them. All right, moving along. Rangers and the Islanders. So this is kind of the worst case scenario, right? For the Rangers, they committed today to 4 points back of Boston, but Boston has 2 games in hand. Now Boston handles things on their end. The Rangers, not so much. Now they're 6 games behind it, or 6 points behind a team that has 2 games in hand on them. The Rangers get an early power play. That's unsuccessful. The Islanders then get a power play, which the announcers argued could have been a penalty shot for Barzal, but they don't call it as a penalty shot. Both power plays end up being 0 for 1 coming out of that, so no harm, no foul either way. Another Islanders power play around the halfway mark. The Islanders pressed after that as well, so they had the pressure in this game. Then they press again with 3.5 left. They had plenty of opportunities, and finally one goes in. Bailey from Pajot and Beauvillier at 17:42. And then in the last moments of that period, Brock Nelson had an opportunity as well. So it's 1-0 after 1, but it felt like the Islanders were in control, and they proved it in the second period. It's Nelson, who remembered he had that chance in the last moments and didn't get it. He gets a goal here from Palmieri and Leddy at 1:38, and it was a perfectly tipped shot by Nelson in front of the net. The Islanders then get a power play, and not long into it, they score with it. Beauvillier with the power play marker from Dobson and Eberle at 5:45. And the Islanders just kept pressuring. And this is the difference between this game and this game. They were both one-sided. This one kind of stayed one-sided. The Rangers get a power play. They don't score on it. However, Rooney would score from Smith and Kravtsov at 11:04. That's a goal that was originally given to Smith. They did change that to Rooney. So that made it 3-1. And the Rangers are capable of some fast strike goals, but they don't get it there. We go to the third period with it 3-1 for the Islanders. The Islanders sharp early in this period. Panarin to Zibanejad, early chance, doesn't quite go. Rooney had a shot that was stopped by Varlamov, who had a very good game. Rangers not getting sustained pressure in that third period either. They had opportunities, just not that sustained pressure that usually will bring about a goal, right? Or at least a power play. Kravtsov nearly gets another one, but it's Pajot scoring from Beauvillier and Bailey at 7:44, and then Bailey getting the crowd to sing the "Hey Baby" with "Hey Bailey," which is it's a take on the WWE one, right? It's weird, but anyways, yeah, they sing to Bailey from Beauvillier and Green at 10:16. It just always reminds me of NXT when I watch it. I'm like, oh, it's the NXT chant. And then Eberle scores from Zajac on a turnover at 11:22. If the Rangers turned the puck over, it ended up in their net. At least that seemed to be the case tonight. The Islanders destroy the Rangers 6-1, dealing a blow to their playoff hopes. The Rangers drop to 23-17-6. They now have 10 games left in their season. The Islanders 29-13-4. That's right, 10 games left in this. We are coming down to the end of the regular season. It feels like already, and it's because it is, because it's a much shorter regular season than normal, and it's a condensed schedule. 3 stars in this one. Beauvillier, Bailey, and Pajot. Shots 11-8 in the first in favor of the Islanders. 9-9 in the second, and then 9-8 in favor of the Rangers in the third. Final shots 28-26 in favor of the Islanders. Power plays, the Rangers 0 for 2, the Islanders 1 for 3. Hits 22-13 for the Rangers. Blocked shots 25-16 for the Islanders. Shesterkin, rough night. 22 saves on 28 shots. I was kind of surprised they didn't pull him out in that third period. And Varlamov, 25 saves on 26 shots at the other end of the ice. So, yeah, the Islanders, they're now tied once again with the Washington Capitals for first in that division. And like I said, the Rangers, that's a tough result for them. We'll see if they're able to bounce back from here going forward. But that's a rough one. All right. Carolina. So, and I said in the preview this morning, Carolina will probably win this one because these teams don't get a lot of space on one another. These teams will tend to usually split these things. And, yeah, the idea of who's the best team in the Central. You can make an argument for Carolina, Tampa Bay, or Florida right now. The one thing with this game, though, it shows the inconsistent effort from Tampa. And the question of whether or not they're kind of pacing themselves. Do they miss Stamkos that much on top of Kucherov? Is that the big difference maker? Maybe. So, the Canes were fast out of the gate. 5 minutes into this game, the shots were 8-1 in Carolina's favor. They weren't letting another thievery happen tonight. Nedeljkovic denied McDonough. Bolts pressed with 9 minutes left, so they did get opportunities. Nedeljkovic was excellent in it. Canes get a power play, and then we end up with 1 minute and 7 seconds of 4-on-4. Scrummy with 5 minutes left. These teams not getting along very well. Everything gets killed off, though, and then things get scrummy at the horn again, because that's kind of how this is working now. There were a lot of fights tonight, too. So second period, Canes opened with a 2-minute power play because of the scrumminess at the horn. I believe it was Sergachev that got a penalty for slashing at the 20-minute mark. Vasilevsky making big saves during that penalty kill. Really strong first few minutes again for Carolina, and eventually they break through. It's Niederreiter from Trocheck at 7:48. And then to celebrate on the following faceoff, Martinook has a fight with Goudreau. It's an odd way to celebrate getting a goal, but we scored. You want to have a fight? Sure. All right. And then they celebrate the fight with Jordan Staal getting a goal at 8:13. So it's a pretty, compacted little highlight package of 30 seconds where you get goal, fight, goal. Everything's going for Carolina at this stage. Paquette then kind of drilled Hedman. So, Cedric Paquette not taking it easy on his former team tonight. Canes press with 9 minutes left. Natchez considered the lacrosse goal. And he's not the first one. We've seen it. Hoglander considered the lacrosse goal earlier this year. Somebody's going to do it. Now, if it happens in a playoff game, it's going to be in every highlight reel forever. That'll just be it. Lorentz scores from Geekie at 16:45, so that makes it 3-0. Now, to the credit of the Tampa Bay Lightning, they answer almost immediately. Point from Palat at 17:03 makes it 3-1, but that's your score after 2. So all Carolina has to do is have a really good third period, and they did. So third period, post for Palat, Bolts were pushing, but they obviously don't get a goal there. Fogle then had a chance. He was saved on that, or that was saved on that one. Shots were 6-4 for the Canes at 9 minutes. So they were doing a good job of controlling the puck and getting a majority of the shots through the first half. Power play for the Canes, that was a no. And then with 5:28 left, the Bolts get a power play. Barré-Boulet had a chance. That was stopped by Nedeljkovic. He's not allowed to get points, and Nedeljkovic wasn't allowing much tonight. Goalie pull with 2.5 minutes left after a really strong penalty kill by the Canes. So it's 6-on-5. And then with 1 minute and 17 seconds left, the Bolts call a timeout, which isn't all that successful. The Bolts would press, but with little under 3 seconds left at 19:57, it's Martinook with the empty netter from Aho and Fast. So he's 2/3 of the way to a Gordie Howe hat trick with a fight and a goal. No assist, but that's okay. And, Carolina wins this one 4-1. They go to 30-10-5. Tampa's got 30 wins to go with the 14-2 that follow that. All three teams at the top of the Central have 30 wins right now. I love this race. I want to see it go right down to the final. 3 stars, Niederreiter, Staal, and Point. So, can't argue with that. Shots, 13-11 Carolina in the first, 14-7 Carolina in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Final shots, 36-27 for Carolina. Carolina 0-3. Tampa 0-2 on the power play tonight. Hits, 34-28 for Tampa. Blocked shots, 13-11 for Tampa. Nedeljkovic, 26 saves on 27 shots. Vasilevsky saved 32 out of 35. They just threw everything on the net, and a few of them went in, and they get the win. All right, now it is time to change boards. All right, Columbus in Florida. So for the Florida Panthers, and you'll notice there's the least amount of notes on this, that this game wasn't really in any doubt. Florida just did what they do. And even though Columbus had a bunch of shots, Spencer Knight, pretty good goaltender. I mentioned in the preview this morning what I saw from him in the World Juniors. Told me, yeah, he's going to be a good one. And I'm aware that there are goalies who flop coming into the NHL from World Juniors. There's all kinds of players that flop coming into World Juniors. It still doesn't mean that they're not capable and that they don't have the potential. So very nice game for Knight. And Florida was very nice to him as well, giving him a lead. Barkov from Gusev and Marchment at 6:52. That's right, Nikita Gusev on the board. And then Sam Bennett, who has been a revelation for Florida. This is the Sam Bennett that Calgary drafted 4th overall, and he has been fantastic for Florida. It just works. From Duclair and Huberdeau at 7:06. And even better, it was off a Patrick Laine turnover. So there's so many storylines in this game. And if you're a Sam Bennett fan, great. If you're a Flames fan, you might be looking at that return of 2 second-round picks suddenly and going, well, yeah, but Bennett looks like he's going to be awesome, and if Florida wins in the playoffs, right? So the shots were 6-3 for the Panthers with 9 minutes left. The Jackets did get a power play, and they did score on it. And it's Roslovic scoring his 10th of the season on the power play from Atkinson and Bjorkstrand at 16-16. The Panthers would get a late power play, but they emerged from that first period with a 2-1 lead. We go to the second, and honestly, Knight, very good, sound. It's one of those games where if you're watching it, you don't know that it's his first game, you wouldn't have any idea. You're not seeing a lot of uncertainty and bad rebounds and goaltender out of place. Columbus pressed at 5 minutes, and then when the puck does go the other way, Bennett gets another goal from Huberdeau and Duclair at 7:04. So that's 2 goals for Sam Bennett in this game, and it's a 3-1 lead for Florida. And again, he just looks like he's having so much fun playing in Florida. Lomberg and Sherwood then had a fight to celebrate. Then there was a chance for Dalpe that was saved by Knight. And then they blow it open some more. Lomberg celebrating his fight. Lomberg gets a goal from Vetrano and Nudavara at 15:42. So there were some people looking for Gordie Howe hat tricks tonight. And then Huberdeau scores from Duclair and Sam Bennett at 16:38. The Huberdeau, Duclair, Bennett line is fantastic. I honestly don't know what else to say about it. The Barkov, Gusev, Marchment trio, there's so many good things going on right now for Florida, and they keep finding guys who are being underutilized in one area, like one organization. They bring him in, and they're just great. And Mason Marchment's been a good addition. Anthony Duclair, his scoring has started picking up. His play's been good all year. And of course, Bennett, it's mind-blowing. And don't forget Vetrano, who in Boston was kind of a bottom 6. Yeah, he's gone. It's no big deal. And in Florida, he's looked great. Third period, Panthers get a power play. That was a no. There wasn't really any room being given to Columbus to create opportunities. They were doing their best to line them up at the line and just make sure they didn't have any easy zone entries. And so Columbus holds on to 8th in the Central. They don't pull themselves out of the cellar with this one. Florida, 30-12-5. Columbus, 15-24-9. So, yeah, this just keeps rolling downhill for Columbus. But, on the other hand, you might get a number 1 draft pick, right? So, 3 stars, Knight, Bennett, and Huberdeau. So, Spencer Knight, a first star in his first game, and they made sure they got him the puck. The interesting thing with that was, I don't think they realized it was his first win until after, and somebody told them, and then they bring the puck over. So the shots, 11-10 Columbus in the first, 15-13 Columbus in the second, 10-8 Florida in the third. Final shots actually favored Columbus 34-33, which tells you Knight was pretty good. Power plays, Columbus goes 1 for 1, Florida 0 for 2. Hits, 29-27 for Columbus. Block shots, only 7-6 in favor of Florida. Korpisalo, 28 saves on 33 shots, and Knight, 33 saves on 34 shots. The future, the present, both bright when it comes to Florida goaltending. It's been something amazing to watch. All right. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it, Dallas. I don't appreciate that you guys went 4-0-1 at this homestand, and now you're in pretty good shape to potentially get into the playoffs. They're now 1 point back of Nashville with a couple of games in hand. They look good. And they still have games left against Detroit upcoming. So, yeah. Reverse retro stars. So, I know it's Detroit, but still, they have a good record with the reverse retros. Keep them around. I like them. I know there's people who don't like them. That's fine. But the whole outfit, when you get the whole outfit together, it looks, I call it the reverse Tron. So it's sort of like the reverse of the retro. It's a reverse version of the black and neon green ones that they have. I kind of see it like a reverse of that. So it is retro. It is like the 90s Star, but it's not quite the same. Anyways, fun little game tonight if you're a Stars fan. It was Bernier versus Ottinger. Interestingly enough, I think they said in the last 2 games Bernier's played against Dallas, he didn't finish the game because he got hurt both times. He would not finish this one either, although it was not due to injury. Kiro scores from Ben at 2:55. That was the second shot for Dallas. Tanner Kiro has been a very, very good story for Dallas, a team that has some good stories. And then it's Robertson. That's the third shot for Dallas. He scores from Dickinson and Hanley at 5:07. That is a 5-game point streak for the rookie Robertson. And so if you're on the train that wants to see him get the Calder, he's definitely in the running now. We're not just talking about a hot streak. He's just been very, very good for the last, I'll say, 20-plus games. Ben then almost made it 3-0. Jamie Benn seems to be picking up his play as well. Larkin had a chance. That was saved. The shots were 6 apiece at 8 minutes of that first period again. 2 of them had gone in. And then Pavelski scores from Robertson and Dickinson at 14-17. So Robertson with a goal and an assist. Dickinson with a couple of helpers. Pavelski's on the board. This is just really good for Dallas. It's 3-0. And then they kept pressing. They pressed with 3 minutes left. And then Vatanen and Nemesnikov kind of had it out. They didn't end up with a full-on fight, so you get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 due to roughing calls. But it's 3-0 Dallas after 1. Second period. Alexiak scores from Gurianov at 3:36, and thus ends the night of Jonathan Bernier. In goes Thomas Greiss. So, I know Detroit's not in this, but there's got to be some debate about which goaltender right now looks better. Right now, it's kind of Greiss. Filppula would then score from Vrana at 4:51. So this is part of the reason you change goalies. You want to wake your team up, and it felt like they did. And it was a nice pass by Vrana to Filppula, who was probably thinking, I wish I was getting these kinds of passes all year because I don't have very many goals. I'd have more if I was getting these kinds of passes. So Vrana's fitting in relatively well. The Wings play picked up after that goal. They definitely got better after that goal. Ottinger stopped a good chance for Larkin. Larkin was so snake-bit in this game. The Wings pressed with 3.5 minutes left. There's a late power play for the Wings. That was a no. Doesn't score. And then Lindell and Larkin had a fight. So, yeah, Larkin had enough of Lindell. I think it was a hit in the corner that Lindell didn't like. Or that Larkin didn't like from Lindell. So they went at it. We go to the third. Stars get an early power play. Pavelski was denied by Greiss. We then have 27 seconds of 4-on-4 before the power play goes the other way. Everything all gets killed off. The Stars' penalty kill, I think over their last 12 games now, is 23 for 25. That's not too bad. Larkin gets tied up. He almost had one, but he was tied up in front of the net. Couldn't get it. Shots were 4-1 in favor of the Stars with 7.5 minutes left, showing how well they were blocking out the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit was getting zone time. They were getting opportunities. They weren't hitting the net. So yeah, the blocking was really, really impressive by Dallas in that third period. Solid trap for them, and then with 4:32 left, a desperate Detroit Red Wings, they pull the goalie, which works. It's Larkin from Hronek and Gagne at 16-13. So that works. It makes it a 4-2 game. And you're thinking, well, it was 4-0. Now it's 4-2. Maybe. We saw what happened with New Jersey. Goalie pull with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. They would call a timeout as well. And then what ends up happening is at 19:07, Como gets an empty netter from Cogliano to salt it away. Goes to 5-2. That's your final. Detroit drops to 16-25-7. Dallas is now 19-14-2 or 19-14-12. And again, those 12 overtime losses, they've got them in this position now. And now Dallas has woken up. Like I said, 4-0-1 in this homestand. And now if they can go out on the road and perform like this, they could make the playoffs. And I don't know what to expect from them if they make the playoffs. 3 stars, Robertson, Dickinson, and Ben. Shots 12-10 Detroit in the first. Both teams had 7 shots in the second period and the third period. Final shots 26-24 for Detroit. Power plays, both teams went 0 for 2 on the power play. Hits 21-14 for Dallas. Block shots 20-9 for Dallas. Bernier saves 8 out of 12. Greiss saves all 11 shots in relief. Again, that's where that conversation comes in. Ottinger saves 24 out of 26. Another solid game for the rookie goaltender. And yeah, I don't know how far Dallas can take this, but right now it looks like they might make it. Now, I'm not going to pretend the Canucks are going to make it, but I don't know. They come back, they play 2 games, and we can have the debate about how the goaltending kind of screwed over Toronto tonight. Fine, we can have that debate, because it's a debate that we have about Toronto when Freddie Anderson's in net. We've had it over the last few games. Jack Campbell's played. Now we're having it with David Riddick. I think there's some blame on the defense as well, but not as much. This was not Riddick's best game. And David Riddick, it's interesting with him, because I still think there's a good goalie there. And he can be a good goaltender, and I think Flames fans would admit this, but when he's off, he can be way off. And that to me kind of feels like a situation where maybe it's mental as much as it's physical. Most players who've been goaltenders in the NHL after they're retired, and they'll tell you, a lot of it is mental, a lot of it is psychological. So early chance for the Leafs in this game. The shots were 3-0 in their favor at 4 minutes. And I was thinking, it makes sense Toronto would come out and they'd be hungry. They need this win. They need these points. And for Vancouver, they did have a lot of time off. They may have had that emotional lift after that win. Maybe they have a bit of a drop. Maybe there's that letdown. So I was, kind of prepared for them to have a letdown. Sutter had a shot that was saved by Riddick. The shots were actually 6-5 Canucks at the half. Both goaltenders started out pretty well. Holtby stopped a chance for Tavares. More energy for the Canucks tonight. They looked more rested. They looked more ready than they did in the last game where Holtby had to absolutely steal it. Not that there wasn't some Holtby theft in this. It just wasn't nearly as apparent. Then there was a near break for Chatfield, but late in the period, Tavares scores from Nylander and Kerfoot at 16:55. So Vancouver early in the season, the first half of the season, if they allow the first goal, they're done. That was just how that worked. Tonight is another example of how that narrative has changed. Second period, Holtby stopped a chance for Bogosian. The Canucks pressed at 3.5 minutes. Miller with the near miss. And again, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so it's the second period, it's the long change. Tonight, the Canucks are taking the play. Not too bad. Now, it wouldn't stay that way, but it was that way for a little while here. Matthews nearly got one, and then the other way, Sutter. He scores from Besser and Hamonic at 5:33. It's a tie game. It's all right, 1-1. Marner had a shot that was stopped, and then Matthews was stopped as well. Matthews doesn't get a goal tonight, but it wasn't for a lack of effort, and it wasn't for a lack of chances. The Leafs had a 2-on-1 that misfired, and that was right after Horvat had hit the side of the net with a chance he had. So there was some chances either ways here. But the Leafs would press after that 2-on-1 as well. Kerfoot tried to jam one in. Holtby made the save there. And then Bogosian crashed hard into the boards on his own. It wasn't like he got drilled, but he hit the boards pretty hard. Pretty sure he stayed in the game, but that was a scary looking thing. I believe it was Horvat that was even motioning like somebody get over here and look at him. But then Hughes would score from Miller at 10 minutes and 8 seconds. So yeah, Quinn Hughes starting to score. Who knew? And that made it 2-1 for Vancouver. And all I'm thinking is, okay, so that went off Marner and in. Yeah, there's some good fortune there. There's a bounce there. Thornton then nearly answered. Holtby denied Tavares. So Tavares with another good game for Toronto. And I felt Riddick had to be sharp because there were a lot of deflections. So the shot's being taken, but the deflections are going off of Maple Leaf players into him. So while the rest of this game doesn't go Riddick's way, he did have to be sharp, and he was pretty sharp on some of those deflections. Leafs get a power play, and they score on it. And this is something that has started to change for Toronto now. They're starting to get power play goals. Tavares on the power play from Nylander and Matthews at 17-14. So that's 2 goals for Tavares in this game. He played very well. And so, yeah, there's a reason to look at this game and say, all right, so this might be turning around. You've got to find the positives. Robertson then tried to get the lead. Got close to it, but Holtby denies him. The Leafs getting a lot of shots in the second half of that period. A lot of shots. Almost 20 in that period alone. So a Vancouver team that, and this goes back well over a year ago, they allow a lot of shots. It kind of drives me crazy. They were doing it last year, and they get bailed out by goaltending, and now they're getting bailed out by goaltending. Third period, Holtby was tested in the first shift. There was a power play for the Canucks, and I thought, okay, it's 2-2. The Canucks have a power play. Brooks scores shorthanded from Marner and Hall at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and then the remainder of that's killed off. That's huge. It's third period. It's a road game. Toronto goes up 3-2, and it's a shorthanded goal. So I'm thinking, okay, so this is Toronto's game, right? Then we get the Leafs pressing for more. However, Höglander scores from Besser and Hughes at 6:43. And right there, you're like, okay, Riddick doesn't look like he's on it right now. Throw everything at the net. Virtanen threw a decent hit on Nylander. Now, Nylander did mostly get out of the way of that. But if Virtanen's going to start throwing the body and start playing with that kind of effort and that kind of moxie, it would go a long way to helping out. Then we get a power play for the Canucks, and they score on it. And it's Pearson from Miller and Hughes at 9:48. And when Pearson scores, I hear everybody complaining about his contract in my head. It's the weirdest thing, but it's what I hear. And then Pearson scores at 13:36, his second goal in about 4 minutes, and Riddick has to stop that. That's one that was just, it goes through the goalie. You can't be doing that. Not at this stage of the season. So that had to be alarming. I would imagine Kyle Dubas watching that goes, oh no. That's the kind of goal you cannot be allowing when you're trying to solidify your spot as first in the division. Goaltender gets pulled with 4:24 left. I didn't think that was a bad call. I thought, you know what, you're down by a couple. Your power plays look pretty good. You've got a lot of puck control in this game. Why not go for it, right? They call a timeout with 2:51 left, and they had a lot of puck control. But at 1:25 left, it gets worse if you're a Canuck because the Leafs end up with a power play. So now they can go 6-on-4. During the 6-on-4, shorthanded empty net goal for Brandon Sutter from Schmidt at 19:24. That made it 6-3. And that's where, if you're a Canuck fan, you could really breathe a sigh of relief and go, okay, so we got this. So the Canucks go to 18-18-3. Again, they have games in hand on everybody in front of or behind them. And you've got to win the games in hand. And they're 2 for 2 since coming back. For the Leafs, they dropped to 28-13-5. This is the 5th straight loss for the Leafs. And again, there are positives to take out of this, but just, yeah, you've got to get those saves from Riddick. And now the attention will turn back to, so when's Freddie back? Because Campbell has looked kind of shaky in the last few games, and now Riddick doesn't look good in this one here. So your 3 stars are Hughes, Pearson, and Nylander. The shots are 13-12 Toronto in the first, 19-8 Toronto in the second, and then 9-8 in favor of Vancouver in the third. Very good third period for Vancouver. Final shots 40-29 for Toronto. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. Hits 21-11 for Toronto. Block shots 14-12 for Vancouver. Riddick 23 saves on 28 shots, and Holtby saved 37 out of 40. So, yeah, a pretty amazing game. I don't know how far the Canucks can take this, but I mean, hey, you know, I kept hearing, whether it's comments here or just online or just in general, people like, oh, they're just going to get killed anyways. I don't know why they're coming back. They're not going to win anything. All right. Travis Green, in an interview after this game, said, hey, we heard it all too. We heard we were going to get destroyed, and we're here to win. So they're definitely, they've got that chip on their shoulder. You got to watch a team that's got a chip on its shoulder. Very, very dangerous. All right, last game of the night. LA and Anaheim. Now, this ended up being a good game in the end, but the best descriptor I can use is, so you've got this game going on and this game going on at the same time. This one is this action-packed, shoot-'em-up kind of game. This one, at points, it kind of felt like you're watching The Joy of Painting. Now, Bob Ross is great. Now, picture Joy of Painting, you tune in to watch Bob Ross, and he's asleep. And it's a blank canvas. And then the show's over. And he didn't wake up. And that's kind of how I felt like I was going between Sleeping Bob Ross and just this incredible, I don't know what I'm watching kind of game. So that's the best description I can think of for this. But again, it did really wake up in the third period. These teams really don't like each other. California games always end up being kind of dirty affairs in the end. And part of the problem was that referees were just letting things go. And eventually that starts to become a problem. So first period, it's Stolarz versus Peterson. Cal Peterson continues to have a good run. Shots were 2-1 for the Kings at 5 minutes, and they'd score first. Their third shot, Grundstrom from Athanasiou and Lizotte. That one deflected off Grundstrom and into the net, and that was an example of what kind of a night Stolarz is about to have. Fowler then had a chance that was saved. The Ducks did bounce back from that slow start. They played well the second half of that first period. Lots of point shots, though. So they're not getting the shots from in close. There was a lot, especially Fowler, taking shots from the point, sometimes blocked by the Kings. Sometimes they get through, but if it's from the point, Peterson has a good chance to get set for it. So second period, the Ducks had an early chance. Peterson was set, though, on that. Power play then for the Ducks. That was a no. Stolarz, a blocker save on Brown, but Stolarz, not a great night for him overall. And Kopitar scores from Doughty and Brown at 8:31. So that's the 10th goal for Kopitar. And then not long after that, Athanasiou scores, I believe that's his 10th goal as well, from Mata and Lizotte at 10:48. So that made it 3-0. And we know Anaheim doesn't score easily or often in most cases. So at 3-0, you can kind of say, well, we know who's winning this one, right? The Kings get a power play. That was a no. They get another power play in the last minute of that period. Doughty, very nice shorthanded goal block to close things out on Henrique. It was an open net. Peterson was out of position, so Doughty made the save off his chest. There you go. Third period, power play for the Ducks. That was a no. Stolarz stopped a chance for Iafallo. Huge Peterson save at 7:45. Just fantastic saves being made by Peterson. Doesn't get into the stars, so some people just don't like to give goaltenders stars, do they? So the shots were 4-2 for the Ducks at 9 minutes. They had opportunities, and then it goes the other way. Lizotte scores from Grundstrom, and Athanasiou at 10 minutes and 50 seconds. So Grundstrom, he has a goal and an assist to that point in the game. Lizotte, that was his third point and his first goal, and it's all Kings. The Kings not allowing easy entries. Manson and Lemieux then had a fight, and here's where Lemieux, you have to respect him on this. Lemieux tagged Manson pretty good and could tell Manson wasn't really with it, right? So he immediately signals for somebody to come over. I think Henrique came over and offered to help Manson off the ice, and Manson's, no, I'm fine. But he went down the tunnel. And so, could it be a concussion? Yes. From the way that he was reacting at the end of that fight, and Lemieux clearly had concern for him as well. So this is one of those times where you can tell there's a code with fighting in the NHL, that this guy's not right, I'm not going to punch him again, fight's over, okay, linesmen get in here, break it up, and if somebody can come over and help him, I respect Lemieux for that. So there you go. And then Stolarz stopped a chance for Mata, and then, just to ruin the shutout, Fowler. He's at the point, he brings it into the inside. You don't want the guy to bring it to the inside. He gets the goal from Raquel and Comtois at 14:36. And it was the one that Fowler seemed to want all night. And so that breaks the shutout. You hear a couple of Kings swearing on the audio for that when that went in. And then it was kind of chippy at that stage as well. Very, very chippy third period. Standard California game. Any game between two California teams, even if they're not in the playoffs, they're going to have a rough time by the end of the game. They really won't end up liking each other. Fowler then tried the same move to get another one, but he was forced to the outside instead of the inside, and so that one was saved by Peterson. With 1:21 left, the Kings would get a power play, and that would end the game. Your score's 4-1 in favor of the Kings. They're 17-20-6. The Ducks dropped to 14-26-7. But the schedule coming up for the Kings means there's hope. 7 of their next 8 games are against Anaheim or Arizona. So they have a direct chance to chase down Arizona, and they have games against Anaheim, who clearly they are able to beat. 3 stars, Lizotte, Athanasiou, and Doughty. Shots in this one, 9-6 Anaheim in the first, 6-5 LA in the second, 11-10 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 25-22 for Anaheim. Power plays, 0-4 for Anaheim, 0-3 for LA. Hits, 25-15 in favor of the Ducks. Block shots, 14-2 in favor of LA. Ducks didn't block very much. Stolarz, 18 saves on 22 shots. Peterson, 24 saves on 25 shots. Pretty good night for him. And again, just the fact that this game was between two teams that probably aren't making the playoffs. And again, I'm saying probably with the Kings, because when I look at that upcoming schedule, I'm thinking, maybe. Because it's not like Arizona's playing really, really well. It's not like St. Louis has an easy schedule. The Kings might have the easiest schedule of the remaining teams, as long as they can beat Arizona. And then who knows, right? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you're a Kings fan, do you have hope right now looking at this? Now they're 5 points out. But again, they got a bunch of games against Anaheim and Arizona. And that 8th game is against Minnesota, who from one night to the next, you never know what you might get. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.